Marathon Digital's earnings coming up tomorrow. Options are very expensive right now. We'll have to talk about that and the potential dangers there. The crypto rally is still going, which could continue to fuel our Bitcoin miners going higher, especially if Bitcoin holds up and Mara has good earnings tomorrow. Let's talk about all of this and more in today's episode of Great Cave. So, first of all, we're looking at Marathon here. You can see that today we were actually up a little bit. We were up a couple of percentage points today, and it ended up being up 3.84%, even though it was a red candle. It's because we opened up about 10 or 12% up this morning and came all the way down from there. We started out up at 32, almost $33, and we ended the day at 30.31. We went as low as 28.32 today with this doji candle at the top here, this very indecisive doji candle. We do definitely have an RSI divergence now in this chart from February 15th to today, since we made a new high. We failed to take out this trend line. So that's interesting. I feel like today was a surge off Bitcoin getting close to 58,000, in addition to Mara sort of holding its breath for the earnings tomorrow. I think a lot of the miners were in that boat, even though Bitcoin was kind of surging today. And we'll take a look at their chart as well. So tomorrow, after hours, we are expecting an estimate of 3.4 cents earnings per share and revenue of $147.63 million. If Mara can beat on both of those, we should see quite the rally going into the end of the week. That'll be very exciting. Now, that also requires that Bitcoin holds where it currently is, which is that above that $55,000 range. If we can stay above that and preferably test these highs up here in the high 57,000s tomorrow and Thursday, if we can keep that momentum up for 2 more days, I think that we will have a very exciting rally for the end of the week here, which might even take us into the 60,000 on Bitcoin and possibly into the mid to high 30s, maybe even low 40s for Marathon Digital. And on CleanSpark, same sort of thing. We opened up real big and then came down all day long. So we got a red candle, even though we were positive 2.65% today. We do have a pretty intense RSI divergence happening on the CleanSpark chart that I am aware of, and I want everyone else to also be aware of that. It is there, it exists there, and to be weary of it. But if Mara reports good earnings, Bitcoin stays up where it currently is or a little higher, we should continue to see this rally go on. And if we're looking at potentially shorting any of these things, which I'm not suggesting, nothing I'm saying here is a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. It's just thought here. If we get, so the 5-day moving average is all the way down here at $18. If we get underneath that moving average, then I think we're going to have a bad time. Being so far away from that average is a little bit concerning. Every time you see when we get away from it, like we did right here on the 9th, we were real far, way off of it. Like it was all the way down, what, at 10.24, and our price, closed at 13, almost $4 ahead of that. And then it spent 3 days with the average catching up and price kind of leaning into it. It didn't really drop. It actually went up a little bit while it did that, but eventually it came into that price. So that doesn't mean we need to drop dramatically to do it, to have a pullback. It just means that we need to probably take a bit of a rest on this move here and have it go sideways for a day or two before it digests this big move here. And then with our other two favorites, Bitfarms also actually lost today. It was down 1.67% on the day. We're in this new ascending channel here that I drew this before I started recording. This is the ascending channel that I believe we are in currently. And I think we're going to bounce back and forth off of these different ranges as we grind up with this stock. This one, same thing. We got RSI divergence. Doesn't look too scary though. I think at most we might get a sell-off down to like the $3 range again, and that would be a great place to start accumulating. On the Bitfarms, again, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. That's just what I'm thinking when I look at this chart. Bit Digital, same sort of thing. It was down 1.27% today. It was actually down a little bit more throughout the day. It's not looking super hot, but also, I mean, its RSI isn't cooking too much. It hasn't been making a new high. It's sort of just hanging out, waiting for something to happen right now on the Bit Digital chart, which is similar to the HUT chart and the Cipher chart. So in terms of the options on Marathon, they're really expensive right now. This is the Yahoo Finance options chain showing it for Marathon. So if we go here, if we want something in the money, we're looking at almost $1,900 for a $30 strike that expires on Friday. That's only 3 days away. That's an insane cost. If we look over here, the implied volatility is massive. I mean, it's not too bad, but it's big. It's big. And something that happens after, especially earnings reports, is what's called IV crush, which is the crush of the implied volatility. It describes the sudden decrease in implied volatility that can occur, significant event like earnings or something like that, or some major news event where the implied volatility spikes way, way up for a short period of time and then starts dropping off rapidly, which eats away at the value of your option. That can catch you unaware as an options trader, especially around earnings, especially around hyped up earnings. And this is definitely a hyped up earnings situation with Marathon right now. So if this implied volatility were to drop down to, like, say something like down here on the 5 at like 98 or something, you'd see significant action on the price. And that's one of the reasons I'm staying out of options on Marathon right now for this week, because the volatility is quite high. There is a lot of hype, and I don't because even if price goes my way, I might lose money buying options with such high prices right now. And then specifically on Cypher, you can see it also, no, it's in the same range. I thought it had higher ones. Oh no, this is for January. Let me look at March 1st. March 1st, yeah, Cypher's is outrageous. If you got the 1.5 strike on Cypher that expires this Friday for a call, it's got an implied volatility of 1,500. So if that were to come down even like half, the value of your option contracts is so badly impacted by that sort of thing. I mean, and it's just all over the place. Like the 2 is 400, the 2.5 is only a 50% implied volatility, the 3 is 175%. I mean, it's ranging anywhere between 1,500, 950, and in some places zero. It's all over the board here. So I mean, depending on the strike that you buy, you can be totally screwed. So that's I don't know if I'd be buying Cypher options right now. I think I'd probably, if I were looking for a leveraged play on Cypher, given all this implied volatility being so all over the board, I'd probably look at the warrants if I were looking at that right now. But that's just one of those multitude of things you have to keep in mind when using options to trade. It's one of those things that'll catch you off guard. It's one of those things that has caught me off guard. Occasionally still does if I forget to look, and then the next day the price goes my way, and I'm wondering why I'm still losing money. And that happens. It's a human thing to forget little details like that, and then catch yourself losing money in that way. But it's something to keep in mind. Always look at the implied volatility. Always look at the delta. Those are really important. Theta is also super, super important to look at when you are purchasing options. When you're selling them, not so much. I prefer to still look at it then, just because I want to know how much money I can expect to make each day that I'm holding that sold option. But those are things to watch out for. Implied volatility, watch the delta, watch the theta, because that is your decay and how much you're going to decay every day um, based on your strike and your date. So that's really important to look at and keep in mind. Just for example, let's look at the SPY. Let's look at its implied volatility for the SPY. And if you've ever bought, you know how much this thing moves. Like you'll buy a 507 that expires on Friday and it'll move 20 cents down and you will be 30% down on it. And it only has implied volatility of, 11, 12% when you're near the money on these ones. And it gets higher as you get further away from the money. But like when you compare that to, say, Marathon at 125%, or 162% if you're down here at $3, that is a significantly higher implied volatility. And if that implied volatility were to drop sharply, say to somewhere around 75 or 60 or something, like half of what it currently is, that's going to negatively impact the value of your option, bringing you into a loss, even if price goes your direction. So that's really important to keep that in mind. Now, in terms of crypto, why do I think some of this rally is going to continue with Bitcoin and with these others? So right now we are in what is called Crpto Summer that has begun. It is a period of rising prices in cryptocurrencies. It is when it's after the winters come, after the springtime, when some of the dormant projects start waking up. Summer's when we start to see slightly larger moves, like crypto winters when everything sucks and everyone's poor and we're all giving up. Spring is when some of the projects start coming back to life and you start seeing like 1, 2, 3% days. And then summer is when we start seeing days that are double-digit days in terms of upward movement, or double-digit weeks that we haven't been seeing in like 2 or 3 years, and we're all very excited about that. I know I am. My crypto portfolio is looking very, very nice these days. Currently, we are in the greed index on the fear and greed. We are in greed for the crypto market according to CoinMarketCap. And now let's just take a look here. I want to look at the 7-day changes on a lot of these coins. Now you can see Bitcoin is up 8.97%. It's been kind of fluctuating because as more money is coming in from the ETFs, some of the retail traders of Bitcoin are selling out and buying altcoins, which is a normal flow of money in the crypto space. It'll first go into Bitcoin. Bitcoin will rise. Bitcoin will start to sell off, or at least plateau at a top while people are taking profit. And they'll take those profits and roll them into altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Cardano, and others. Now, if we scroll down, we can see Ethereum's also up a bit. Solana, not so much, but Solana's been way up for a while. Like they already did their 10x basically this year already, so I'm not going to look at them too much. XRP's up 3%. Cardano's actually down. That's why people like to call it a stable coin. Doesn't move a lot. But this is where we get interesting. Dogecoin, meme coin, 14% this week, 10% in the last 24 hours. We come down to Polkadot, 8%. That was not doing so hot for a really long time, but 8%. Polygon doesn't move so much. Shiba, another meme coin, up 8% today, 11, almost 12% for the week. Uniswap up 42% in the last 7 days. If you bought this Uniswap 7 days ago, you would have 42% more money than you had 7 days ago. Amazing. Bitcoin Cash, the fake Bitcoin, 12.5%. Litecoin's up 7%. We got 9% in Cosmos. You're going to start seeing ones you don't even know anything about. Like Near. Okay, I've heard of Near before, but I don't know anything about it. It's up 18% almost, 17.5%. Let's keep going. We'll start seeing some other ones. We got 9% for VeChain, never heard of it. Stellar Lumens, that's an old one. That's been around a long time. Lido, 8%. 19% on Mantle. I have never heard of Mantle. It's up 19%. RenderCoin, 17.91%. The Graph, never heard of it. 16%. Chronos, 13%. I actually have a bag of this. I'm very happy about that. 14% actually. Monero, 12%. That's a really old one. I'm surprised that's still on here. We got 13% Thorchain. Never heard of it. 13% up. 60% for Theta Network. Never heard of Theta Network. 14% today, 60% this week. This is what Crpto Summer looks like. You start getting these projects that are, outside of the top 5 projects making big moves real fast. That summer. Flare. I got an airdrop of this. I can't remember when. It's up 42%. I sold it for like 50 cents whenever I had it. Oh well, it's at 4 cents. I don't care. And if we keep going, we'll keep seeing those same kinds of numbers. And this is just the top 100. Gala, 50%. Arweave, 28%. I haven't heard of either of those before. I've been in the crypto space a long time. Pepe is up 118%, 40% just today. Pepe breathes life. Look at that. That's a meme coin. It's way up. Decentraland, this one was at 450 in the last bull run. It's up 12% today. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty great. I mean, I could go through this all day. There's going to be more you've never heard of that are just like the further down I'm getting, the more I'm seeing double-digit numbers down here in terms of these things being up in a big way. And that's what I mean when I say Crpto Summer. Crpto Summer is here. Crpto Summer is going to fuel CleanSpark, Marathon, BitDigital, Bitfarm, Cypher, Hut. All those miners are going to fuel them up as we get into the summer, because as those altcoins start to pump up, so people put money into Bitcoin and then they take profits on Bitcoin, roll it into altcoins. They make big profits on altcoins, they roll it back into Bitcoin. That's the path. That's what happens. And then once that starts happening, we start getting the FOMO of people that aren't in the space at all starting to want to buy in. And it's even easier now with the ETFs, as we have seen. And we're going to see some pretty big pumps going forward as we get into the halving and we get into the big bull run coming up. So that's the update for today. Watch out for marathon earnings tomorrow. Don't get caught up in IV crush. Don't get crushed on your IV. Crpto Summer is here. Enjoy the green days. Hopefully we'll see many more with small pullbacks on the way up. With that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a wonderful day.